GETTYDavid Davis, who was frontrunner for taking the leadership position, rallied on PM May's vision. Writing exclusively in the Sunday Express, International Trade Secretary Liam Fox praised the Prime Minister's great inner strength. Boris Johnson and David Davis both called for the Conservative Party to end infighting and support the Prime Minister. Their support came as party insiders blamed Mrs. May's aides for her troubles. They said they have been working her too hard in the run-up to her disastrous speech at the party conference when her keynote address was plagued by a coughing fit, a prankster handing her a P45 and letters falling off the wall behind her. Insiders have pointed out that because of Brexit she has made more foreign trips than previous prime ministers in her first year of office, including 5 in as many weeks. After visiting Japan, she traveled to Canada and the US before her Florence speech at the end of last month, and then made what sources described as a completely unnecessary visit to Estonia for a digital conference in the capital Tallinn. One senior MP said Number 10 always wants the Prime Minister to act as the Foreign Secretary, but she should not let them. It's not just the traveling, it's the fact that she is often having to persuade people who don't agree with her on Brexit. That is mentally exhausting. Theresa May's position as party leader has been shaky recently, but some unity is starting to show. It's taken as a given she won't lead the party into the next general election. Conservative MP: the thing about Theresa is she's a workaholic, so she just keeps going. But people easily forget she's 61 and has type 1 diabetes, as a plot orchestrated by former Tory party chairman Grant Shapps appeared to fizzle out. Backbench MPs are believed to be privately discussing the possibility of persuading Mrs. May to stand down on health grounds so it does not look like she has been knifed by her own party. Failing that, some want her to come up with a timetable for her departure to avoid a bloodbath at May's local elections. Others have been calling for her to reassert her authority with a reshuffle. One cabinet minister said, "It's kill or be killed. Maybe now is the time for lots of people to be killed." Wednesday, October 4, 2017, a protester gives a thumbs up after he got to the podium and handed a paper with P45 written on it to Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May as she was delivering her speech, but the big beasts of the party were behind the Prime Minister. While she was in her Maidenhead constituency this weekend preparing to make a statement to the House of Commons tomorrow on her Florence speech, Mr. Johnson, who had been accused of undermining her on Brexit, pledged his fulsome support. In a WhatsApp message to colleagues, the Foreign Secretary wrote, "Folks, I am away, but just read all this. See Amber Peace to Sam. She is right. We have just had an election and people are fed up with all this malarkey. Get behind the PM. Ordinary punters I have spoken to thought her speech was good, and anyone can have a cold, circle the wagons, turn the fire on Corbyn and talk about nothing except our great policies and what we can do for the country." Boris Johnson has reportedly put his leadership plans on ice to encourage Tory unity. It came after the former London mayor penned a 4,000-word article arguing that the UK should not pay for access to the single market after Brexit. He has since suggested that any implementation period should not be a second longer than 2 years. Dr. Fox praised Mrs. May for acting in a calm and dignified manner in difficult circumstances and called for party loyalty. He said, "We are the Brexit government. We will be judged on whether or not we deliver a successful outcome for our country. Any self-indulgence during this most crucial period will send a signal that we are more concerned with personal or party interests than with achieving the right result for Britain." Mr. Davis, who has also been tipped to take over from Mrs. May last night, pledged his allegiance. He said, "Britain's national interest is at stake. Theresa May has laid out the vision for how we deliver on the result of the referendum, and everyone who wants to see a constructive outcome to this process should lend their hand to making it happen." Sources close to the Brexit secretary have denied reports that he plans to resign in 2019, when the 2-year implementation period kicks in, insisting that he will see out the Brexit process to its full conclusion. Scottish Tory leader Ruth Davidson had earlier called on her colleagues to put up or shut up, in an echo of former Prime Minister John Major's 1995 plea for party unity. Cayman's leader Andrea Leadsom said Mr. Shapps should shut up, while Environment Secretary Michael Gove said the entirety of the cabinet wanted Mrs. May to carry on. Tuesday, April 18, 2017, Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May in the capital Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the 5th of April 2017. May is visiting Saudi Arabia as part of her Middle East trip to boost diplomatic ties in the region. Despite the outward show of unity, Home Secretary Amber Rudd and Education Secretary Justine Greening have reportedly been taking quiet soundings on their future leadership hopes. One Tory MP said Theresa is seen as a lame duck, which is why there are so many people on maneuvers. It's taken as a given she won't lead the party into the next general election, so there's a future vacancy there. The consensus is the plot is over for now until they drop the ball again. A lot of people are biding their time. One cabinet minister confirmed the government was also playing the long game, saying, "We have almost 5 years before we need to have another general election. This is a marathon, not a sprint. But we need unity." Another said the longer she does the job, the better she'll be. Mr. Johnson has also put his leadership ambitions on ice, according to friends. One insider said Boris knows if the Tories screw up Brexit they will never be elected again, although the popular politician has the support of many Brexiteer MPs because of his tough stance on the EU negotiations. Defence Secretary Sir Michael Fallon is being touted by many as a potential unity leader when Mrs May goes. Last night a poll by Orb International suggested public trust in the government's handling of the Brexit talks had hit an all-time low. As Mr. Davis prepares to resume face-to-face talks with chief EU negotiator Michel Barnier tomorrow, it found that nearly 2/3 of the population do not think the talks are going well. As Prime Minister, however, Mrs. May appears to have won the sympathy vote following her very public coughing fit. One poll found 38% of voters now want her to go, compared to 44% after the June 8 election. Another poll showed support for Labour fell to 42% following the Tory party conference with the Conservatives up on 40.